Welcome back. Ernest Greer is the newest chair of the Georgia Chamber of Commerce. He's tasked with promoting local businesses and making sure Georgia leaders have a voice at the table. He's also helping to create new business opportunities, something Greer is especially adept at doing. That's because his journey from a Missouri suburb to one of the nation's top law firms called for him to seize upon a series of fortuitous opportunities. Today, Ed Baker talks to Greer about his path to good fortune in this edition of Executive Profiles.
Ernest Lamont Greer, a classy name for a classy guy.
Appreciate that, Ed.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to St. Louis.
It was a lifestyle of a mother and father in the home. My father was a teacher, and my mother was in the medical records department at the county hospital. They made a living that allowed them to focus on the values of life. And for them, the biggest value that they could bestow on their children was education.
So you went to Harvard.
I did.
How'd you pick Harvard? Why'd you pick Harvard?
At the time, I was considering maybe going on a football scholarship somewhere. My mother walks in and tells me that she wanted me to go to Harvard. And I said, well, why is that? She said, well, because I remember when you walked into the house one day in the 3rd grade and said, Ma, I'm going to Harvard. And she said, you have that opportunity and you should take it.
So it was your freshman year, and just about the time you were starting, you met your true love.
It's 25 years that we would have celebrated marriage on August 12th, 30 years of togetherness. And I actually met her on the first day of her undergrad, which was at Wellesley College. I went to law school at Northwestern University. My wife worked in St. Louis for a year there at the Equitable, and then she applied to the business school at Northwestern, which is Kellogg School of Business, and she came up the next year. We got married the summer before she came up, and we've been together and active in the community, et cetera, since then.
So how'd you land up here? Why didn't you stay in St. Louis?
To just be candid with you, when I posed the issue to my wife was taken aback, and I was sort of taken aback on her observation, that she said that she had been in downtown St. Louis for a little less than a year, and she said, quote unquote, I have not seen more than 2 black men with ties, coat and ties on, in downtown. And I have concerns that it is not a very, very diverse town and a very accepting town. And so the decision was made to come here to Atlanta.
At Greenberg, your role today is?
Well, I have a couple of roles.
Right.
One is managing shareholder of the Atlanta office. We have about 100 lawyers in the Atlanta office. It is one of our most successful offices, and I'm very proud of that. Last year, I was promoted to one of 8 global officers for the firm. And as you know, the firm has 1,750 lawyers in 38 different offices. And so it's a big business. It does $1.2 billion a year. And the opportunity to play a role in such a large, sophisticated services organization has been great. And each and every day, depending on the day, some days I'm dealing with local issues, some days I'm dealing with global issues.
And you find time to be so incredibly community active.
Yes.
Start with the Georgia Chamber of Commerce,
Yes.
your role this year, if you would.
I am the 2014 chairman of the board for the Georgia Chamber.
Second African American to hold that position in well over 100 years, correct?
Yes, yes.
And how does that feel?
It feels great. It feels great. But I will tell you, it doesn't feel great because of the accolade. It feels great because of the platform. Right. The platform gives me unbelievable opportunity to focus on what has been near and dear to my heart, which is inclusion.
Now, inclusion for you, I know, is the operative word, and inclusion doesn't begin and end with the Georgia Chamber.
Yeah.
Let's walk and talk through some of the other activities where you've activated inclusion.
We have sought to create inclusion by making sure that certain institutions have the necessary fundings to attract kids who are not in the typical socioeconomic bandwidth. We've also sought to attract inclusion through the arts. So when you talk about the Woodruff Art Center and you talk about things like the Atlanta Ballet, or the History Center. One of the dynamics I felt is that the History Center, as where it stands, its geography, its location, is not a location where people of diverse backgrounds, particularly African American or otherwise, happen upon. It's on West Paces Ferry Road, it's down the street from the mansion. And so what we needed to do was create an opportunity that would create a draw for African Americans and other diverse folks. So I felt that we could do that through attracting exhibits that would be important to African Americans and others. And so we attracted the Monticello exhibit from the Thomas Jefferson Foundation, and the center did not have the money, and I and Sheffield Hale went out to the business community and others and raised that money. But we have focused on trying to find inclusion in things in which we could bring together whites and blacks and Hispanics and people of all different races. And we've done the same thing in my office. I mean, we have been proud of the fact that we have gone from an office that had challenges 7, 8 years ago to an office that is a premium office in our system and an office that is as diverse as it gets. And so we have proven, we think, we have the test case that shows that you can be successful with diversity.
Well, you've certainly been successful from childhood on through.
Yeah.
Major player in this community, tremendous impact on all of us, and thank you for your inclusion.
Yeah.
It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ernest.
All right, thank you.
And Ernest Greer continues to make a name for himself. Insider Advantage's James Magazine just recently recognized him as one of the 100 most influential Georgians of 2014.